Hey everyone, it's Holmes from Homestorybooks, and today I am here to bring you a new edition of Holmes Recommends. In this series, I recommend 3 or more books I like and talk about the books I want to read that are similar to those books. I find if I read a good book, I want to read 10 more like it, but they can be hard to find, so this is what that series is for. Today, I'll be recommending middle grade audiobooks written by Black authors, so let's get into the books. The first one I'm going to mention should almost go without saying, but to exclude it would be a crime, and that is Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry by Mildred D. Taylor. Can we just have a moment for that title? Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry is narrated by Cassie Logan, a 9-year-old girl of the Logan family. This book has a very present family. Cassie's mother is a school teacher, and all the children in the family go to school together. I appreciated the authenticity of the children's banter more than anything, and all of the members of the Logan family are very well fleshed out. Taylor demonstrates in this book that racism is a lived experience. Cassie, in the Deep South, is hurt by the words thrown at her across the playground from a childhood bully. She's exhausted by white adults ignoring her, and she, like all children, has an innate sense of justice, of right and wrong, of fairness and unfairness. I won't spoil it, but Kathy standing up to her bully is one of the greatest scenes in childhood literature. There is a reason this book won the Newbery Award, which is an award given to outstanding children's literature by the American Library Association. It was also nominated for the National Book Award, and it was a 5-star read for me. This next book is the book that inspired the idea for this video. It is Crossover by Kwame Alexander, and this is a book written entirely in prose. It is melodic, it is rhythmic, it is prosaic. Crossover is about a 12-year-old boy named Josh Bell and his brother Jordan, and they play and love basketball. I know nothing about basketball. Even though I played it for a month in primary school, I spent most of the time on the bench hoping I wasn't called into the game. But that didn't matter. Alexander's writing is told with such command, such craftsmanship, such love that it is one of my favorite audiobooks ever. This author has so many little tricks with language that I found myself rewinding the book just to hear it again. This is a beautiful book about boyhood and fatherhood, and I hope like hell that Kwame Alexander writes poetry for the rest of his damn life. Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson is a memoir of her young life told in prose for younger readers. Her prose is dreamlike, just like the title, and it tells the story of her growing up in the 60s and 70s in the Jim Crow era. The only thing I didn't enjoy about this book was how Woodson would say the title of each poem. For some reason, this pulled me out of the book a lot, but I think it's a nitpicking detail that can be easily overlooked. These poems are very emotional, and I think even though they touch on larger societal issues and big ideas, Woodson is still able to distill them into something children can understand, can relate to, and can call their own. I loved that these poems are so evocative and wrapped up in a big southern Brooklyn bow. This book is as much a call to arms as it is a memoir. Woodson tells the story of her childhood and how she became a writer, and tells anyone who will listen, this is how you can be a writer too. As Brave as You by Jason Reynolds was a recent discovery for me. It's about 2 brothers, Jeannie and Ernie, who spend the summer away from their Brooklyn home in the Deep South with their grandparents. It's interesting that both Woodson and Reynolds both speak of Brooklyn in the South. Jeannie realizes his father is blind and is captivated and curious about that, as any and all children would be, and has a million questions. How does he match his clothes? How does he pour a glass of tea without getting it everywhere? How does he cook? This is a book about bravery, about what it means to be a man, and the last summer before everything begins again. This reading is hilarious and jubilant. This book deals with serious topics like masculinity and familial responsibility in a very touching way. I think what middle grade books do so well is take a serious topic and unpack its emotions and allow kids to experience those emotions. I find him a little heavy on the description, but I think as a kid I would have really enjoyed that. I loved details in books. I wanted to know what everyone drank, what everyone ate, and the list of ingredients that went into the food, so this would have been no exception. I think Reynolds really captures the unique humor of a middle grade book, which is a rare balance of crisis, poop jokes, and eye-rolling parents. This book was read and performed by Guy Lockhart, and his energy and enthusiasm in the text improved my experience of the text tenfold. I loved this book. That's it. That's all for my recommendations for this video. On my TBR or to be read pile on the same theme, I have One Crazy Summer by Rita Williams-Garcia, The Mighty Miss Malone by Christopher Paul Curtis, and The Watsons Go to Birmingham, also by Curtis. Do you have any recommendations for me? And let me know if you're going to read any of these books. Bye everyone!